Welcome to r/Entitled People, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story, Mountain Fortress Madness, when a land-use desk encounter takes an unexpected turn. The second story, the Midtown Manhattan meltdown over a seat. The third story, the driveway debacle, a snowy showdown that shook the condo association. The first story is Government Office Front Desk. I'm going to share a story from the land use front desk. Shortly before closing, of course, a woman rode up on a bicycle, came into our local government office, and got in line with the last-minute crowd. As I'm checking her in, we creep past our official closing time. But it's not a good look to turn members of the public away at closing as long as they made it in the building before the door is locked, so I just hope it's something easy. Especially because more and more staff are sneaking out the staff doors in the back and managers are going home. I get this woman's name and try to suss out why she's here so I can put her in the right queue. Like, is she researching a property she wants to buy? Making a public service request? Is she a contractor checking on a permit? Is she licensing an animal, equipment, or business? Does she need a survey? We do a lot, haha. She says I want to build a fort on Mount Mountain to protect it. Me. Oh, okay. Trying to keep a neutral face and probably failing. So, do you have a piece of property in mind for that? That makes it easier to look up the zoning and everything you need to know. She says really fast, near local school. They're tearing down all the trees. Have you seen it? We have to stop them. I'm gonna keep a watch out. No one's watching the trees. Me. Okay, yeah, I've seen where they're starting to do construction. It's definitely not pretty. We've had a lot of people call or stop by to ask if we know what's going on. Do you want to talk to someone in land use about those lots to see if we know what their plans are? Lady, they're cutting down all the trees and pulling up the roots so they never grow back. I need to stop them. Me. Okay, that's quite a quandary. Let me take a look around the back office to see which staff are still here and who they think could help best. Maybe someone in land use? Maybe someone in resource protection? A stretch because that's a division of parks, but honestly, who knows? Let me quickly get the rest of these folks checked in and then I'll have someone come out to help. This lady is clearly not having her most lucid moment, and we will not be able to help her with her fantasy tree-guarding tower. We typically let a manager handle customers like this. They're good at making people feel heard without wasting too much time with the underlings entering data and cranking out paperwork. Also, it's just kinda above my pay grade, you know? I go ahead and check everyone else in the lobby in to see their respective government worker and go cruise the back office for a land use manager. Nope. Okay, for any manager? Nope. Only my direct supervisor is left. I let her know what's going on, expecting her to call a manager from a meeting that's surely running late. Because why would every single manager leave before the last of our customers? Or to handle it herself? She knows the drill, except she's a terrible supervisor and she really wants to go home. So my boss lady says, well, just put her in line with land use. They'll be able to tell her something. I try to explain it's down to like one person from that division and he got hired last month. That there's no way he can realistically help the lady with a tree-guarding tower and he's trying to clear out the lobby as it is so he can go home. But my boss just kind of shrugs. She washes her hands of the situation pretty quickly and tells me she's heading out soon. Keep track of any time you went past closing. Bye. Great. I call the tree tower lady up and try to think of the fastest way to get her entered in our computer system in a way where she's asking an actual question that a staff member can answer. I apologize that there wasn't a supervisor around to see her, for real, but try to assure her our land use staff, the poor new guy, stuck on the customer desk, pretty much the only person left in the office, will help as much as they can. I ask if the tower is going near local school, where they cut down the trees, trying to figure out a location. Lady getting agitated. No, those trees are gone. That's why I need to protect them. I want a fort on Mountain, so I can see everything. Me, and you don't own land up there or anything? She confirms she doesn't, and I cut back in before she can tell me more about the trees. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is pull up a satellite map of the mountain with property lines imposed on it. How about we find a nice clearing at the top where you could build a tower? I'll pull it up, turn my monitor around, and try to explain what we're looking at in the local roads, okay? We'll find a good spot at the top, and if you can point at it, I can find out the address and get you all queued up. Then our guy in land use can talk to you about what would be needed to build. Does that sound good? She agrees. We go through it all. There's still a couple of people in line ahead of her, so I have time to warn our poor land use guy. There isn't enough distance between customer areas to have a discreet talk without this lady and other members of the public overhearing. So I weigh options. 1. Do nothing, don't warn him. He can deal with as well as I can. Hopefully I gave him enough of a lead that he can go home someday. But I risk having a terrible working relationship from here on out because it's kind of a D move. 2. Try to talk quietly and in code, confusing everyone. 3. Pass my new coworker a note like a grade schooler and pretend it's an important phone message or a note attached to paperwork he needs. So obviously I acted about 13 years old and tried to pass him a note between customers. And yes, totally and rightfully threw my boss under the bus. Sorry, not sorry. The last lady in line wants to build a tower on Mount Mountain to guard the trees. I honestly think she's a little off. I'm so sorry. I asked boss lady to help, but she told me to put her in line with you. I'm so sorry. All the managers went home. I entered lady into your system under a random property near the top of the mountain. She doesn't own it, but maybe you can still look the formation up and answer planning and building questions? New guy is still answering info on the database from his last interaction, so he's kinda just glancing at the note. I can't hang out there forever, so I start to walk away when he suddenly does a double take and sputters out, "Wait, what?" At this point I shrug. "Yeah, can I help any other way? Need any more info?" He shrugs. "No, I'll figure it out." And I have to trust he will, because literally what other option is there? I finish closing down the front desk and lobby and head out, one of the last few people in the building, including the janitor who comes at night. A couple weeks later, the same lady comes in. I'm naturally very skeptical about the reason for her visit, but she surprises me. Same bicycle, same face, same name, but it's like she's a different person this time. No mention of a tree tower, so I don't bring it up. I check her in for something 100% normal, with 100% of the information required. I see her a few more times that year, and they're all standard customer interactions. I have to wonder if she was having a mental health crisis the first time, or conducting some kind of social experiment, or if I just terribly misunderstood her somehow. The second story is, You Are a Nasty Girl. Okay, my loves, I remembered this story tonight while commenting on someone else's post, and thought it was too appropriate for this sub. Hope you enjoy. Years and years ago, I had a job as a hostess in a Korean fusion restaurant in Midtown Manhattan. I was a bubbly and cheerful newbie before I became the sly, jaded, long-sufferingly tolerant creature I am today, and it was beyond me to consider even being sarcastic, forget outright rude to a customer. It's midday lunch rush, and the restaurant is filling up rapidly. Deliveries are going out smoothly. People sit where I've seated them. No one's table jumped. I'm feeling good, and so the universe apparently decided to slap me down a bit. Little old Asian lady, henceforth referred to as Angry Auntie, comes in. Pudding. Hi, table for one? Angry Auntie. No, two. We have a strict policy that all parties must be complete before being seated. Most restaurants in Manhattan are small, and there's no sense in having a six-top taken up by one dude for half an hour while he waits for his buddies to trickle in. Another hostess was fired just last week for violating this policy, so I was following it to the letter. Pudding. Ma'am, we have a rule that parties have to be complete before being seated, but feel free to take a seat right here to wait for your friend. Angry Auntie looks peeved, stands off to the side, and does not take a seat. I should have known SH was gonna go down then, but it's busy as hell, and I didn't have server ESP yet. Midtown Manhattan lunch rush is no effing joke. I'm speed walking back and forth constantly from the kitchen to the host stand, as I also handled taking and expediting pickup and delivery. Meanwhile, Angry Auntie is looking more and more annoyed. I hear her mumbling angrily under her breath about how absurd it is she has to wait. She's waited about 5 minutes according to my POS, when her friend comes in. We'll call her Grumpy Granny. Relieved, I grab 2 menus. Pudding. Hi, ladies. Table for 2, right? Right this way. Grumpy Granny. No, 3. F. Pudding. I'm sorry, ma'am, but as I've explained to your friend, I cannot seat you until your entire party is present. It is at this moment that all hell breaks loose in this tiny A restaurant. I knew Angry Auntie was not in the best mood for having had to wait 5 agonizing minutes, but I was completely unprepared for what was about to be unleashed upon me. Angry Auntie. You are a nasty girl. You're rude. Grumpy Granny. She's here already. She's here. I still don't know what she meant because their third guest was most assuredly not there yet. Exaggeration or falsehood here would have been a mercy to my tender, barely 20 self, who had not yet developed the implacable heart of steel of the me today. I'm standing in the middle of the busy restaurant with 2 tiny old Asian ladies shrieking at me at the top of their lungs as I try to placate them. Pudding. Ma'am, I'm sorry, I understand you want to be seated right away, but Angry Auntie. You're the first nasty girl I've met here. I actually sat them once previously with no issues aside from that the 2 of them arrived first and waited literally over an hour for their friend to come before ordering. Grumpy Granny. We've been here before and we were always seated right away. I try to explain that because last time they came here at 3 p.m., the slowest business time, and we only sat them because the place was empty. They're not having any of it, more screaming about how horrible I am. Thankfully, after an eternity of yelling, "Oh my God, where is my manager?" their friend shows up. I seat them and immediately wave over a waiter to take their order, like now. I go back to the host stand, visibly shaken. Manager goes to the table, apologizes to the ladies, but explains that I was only doing my job. Angry auntie and grumpy granny are still not satisfied. As I walk away, I hear them ask their waiter if he's the manager. Waiter is older than manager, and the manager looks younger than he is. This happens a lot. Waiter takes their orders and comes up to my computer to input it so we can discreetly talk, and I ask him what they said. Waiter: "They asked me if I'm the manager and then said you were rude to them and they wanted you fired. Effing idiots." Apparently being asked to wait 6 minutes is ground for trying to ruin someone's life, by getting them fired. At this point, I'm very angry and upset, and various coworkers come up to console me. Manager comes by and tells me he saw it all, and not to worry about it. A while later, I've cooled off and decided to be the bigger person. As the 3 ladies leave, I earnestly bid them, "Have a nice day, ladies." Grumpy Granny responds by shoving her finger in my face and snarls, "Don't ever do that again." B. Manager, after hearing my whole story, told me that if they made a scene again for no good reason, they would be banned. I anxiously awaited their next visit, but for the rest of the time that I worked there, I never saw them return. The third story is a clause which caused drama galore a decade ago. In my COA, there's one driveway, exclusively deeded to one unit, which is the norm around here, so whatever. It's not considered a common area in any sense. Nobody else can use it without permission, and it's an exclusive easement to one unit. Pretty clear cut. However, a clause was found by the owner of the driveway pertaining to snow removal and how it's suddenly considered a common area, and the other units are responsible for it. Not the association, not the owner, but specifically the other 2 units. It was something like Unit 1 and Unit 2 will be solely responsible for the removal of snowfall when it occurs, and responsible for all the common areas, which includes Unit 3's driveway. This fight began in year 4 when the association was formed, and the new owner moved in the summer prior. Before then, the original owners never tried acting on this, and snow removal was common sense to be covered by the COA or somebody would just go out and shovel. Pretty simple, or so we adults thought. First winter here for her, this new owner tried and failed to bring this clause up. The board said it cannot be enforced, but that second year, man, did she go all out. Each snowfall before the annual meeting, 5 to 6x, she'd send emails, knock on doors, or run out and stand there yelling at one of us to shovel her car out after the person, by themselves, had spent a few hours shoveling. Each time was told to F off and do it herself. Annual meeting rolls around, she tried to cause a ruckus over it. The president presented a newly worded clause. He was a lawyer, thankfully, which put it squarely on that unit minus the public sidewalk in front of it. Majority ruled. She stormed out. 1 week later, she sold her place. Tried skipping dues and proper paperwork, 6 Ds, etc., all that. Ended up being sued, which took all of 5 minutes in front of the judge to rule on. So yeah, that was fun. I hope you love these stories. Subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching and have a good day.